Hey guys, Andy here with CQE Academy, and in today's video, we are going to cover one of the most important topics in continuous improvement, and that is the 8 forms of waste. Let's head over to the computer and get started. All right, let's jump into today's video. I picked this topic specifically, the 7 forms of waste, because here we are, we're at CQE Academy, we're talking about the CQE exam, and one of the topics on the exam is the 8 forms of waste, but I also teach for other certifications, the Green Belt exam, the Black Belt exam, and they also include waste as a topic on the exam. And so I wanted to create a video that would provide the most value for the largest audience. And so I wanted to shoot this video on the 7 forms of waste. Now, in terms of today's video, I mentioned that word value. I think for you to truly understand waste, you have to focus on value. There is a misconception that lean is all about waste, and that is incorrect. What we care about, what we love, is value. And so we have to start with kind of the definition of value and what it is and how do we think about it so that you can understand the definition of waste. What is waste and why is it everywhere in your organization? The next thing that you have to understand are what are the 8 forms of waste. If you're going to be a lean practitioner, you have to understand and kind of live by these 8 forms of waste. Now, again, if you're going to be great as a CQE or a green belt or as a black belt, there is a process to dealing with waste. Step number 1 on your journey to become a CQE or green belt or black belt is number 1, learn how to see and spot waste. A lot of folks who are new to quality or new to continuous improvement, they walk around a production floor, they walk around a facility, and they don't even see the waste happening around them. And so step number 1 on your growth journey is learning how to spot waste. Now that's great. It's good that you can see waste, but that's not enough. The second step that you have to be competent in doing is learning how to measure waste, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to convince your boss, your manager, your leadership team to make changes and improve your processes to eliminate waste. And what's going to drive that conversation is you quantifying and measuring that waste so that leaders can understand the impact that waste is having on the organization, typically financially. And it will help set you up for success in step number 3, which is essentially eliminating waste. What are the tools and topics and changes that we can make to essentially eliminate the waste that we see? In terms of today's lecture, we're going to break this up into 2 parts. So part 1 is this video right now that you're watching. This is all about the 8 forms of waste and learning how to spot waste. The second phase of waste management is measuring it and eliminating it. And that's going to be a second video. Part 2 is going to go on to my Green Belt, Black Belt channel, which I will link in the description below. We'll talk about measuring waste and eliminating it. The focus of today's video is all about the 8 forms of waste and learning how to spot waste. Let's jump into it. I want to start with value because I want to make sure you understand the importance of value in an organization. Gary Vaynerchuk said, give value, give value, give value, and then ask for business. And he's highlighting an important concept here. Customers want to do businesses with organizations that provide them with value. If you are in business and you have a customer, your job is to provide them with as much value as possible if you want them to come back to you and keep giving you their business. I love this quote. Success is all about creating value. Candace Carpenter said that. I totally agree. If you are going to be a successful business, it starts by creating value for your customer and just giving them as much value as possible. Here's another great quote that I think sums the whole thing up. Money always flows in the direction of value. If you are creating something of value and your customers feel that it's valuable and they love it and they know it's the most valuable product on the market, they will continue to send you their hard-earned money because they appreciate the value that you are providing to them. Here's another quote. This will wrap it up and then we'll move on. For businesses to be successful, they need to constantly ask the question, how can we provide value to our customers? I'm showing you a lot of quotes here about value, and that piece of wisdom has always been true. Lean practitioners have always been obsessed with providing value to the customer. Now, here's something true about value that you have to understand. Value is always inherently defined by your customer. I don't care what you make or what your product is or what service you're in or what industry you're in. Every product is different, every service is different, but inherently the customer is the person who defines what value is. From a lean perspective, though, what we try to do or what we want to do is we want to look at our different business activities, business processes, manufacturing processes, whatever, and we want to look at those processes and we want to ask ourselves an important question. Are we providing value? Is this activity or this business process, is it creating value for the customer? And so what we've come up with in Lean are the 3 C's of value. So for an activity to be valuable, 3 things have to be true. Number 1, the customer has to care about that product or that widget or that feature or that item, whatever it is that you're making, the customer has to care about it. Number 2, that activity has to fundamentally change the product. Okay, that is a value-added step. It's a step that fundamentally changes the product in some way. And then number 3, it has to be correct the first time. If we are reworking a product or re-inspecting or resorting or reproducing an item because the process failed the first time, that's not value, that's waste. We should have done it right the first time, and we essentially didn't do it. Now, when lean practitioners look at their organization and they look at their processes, they typically categorize all of those activities into 2 buckets. Your process steps and activities are either adding value or they're not adding value. And this is where we get that concept of waste. It is essentially all of the activities that we engage in as an organization that don't provide value. Here's the official definition. Waste, which is also called muda, is any activity in your business that consumes resources. This could be labor, raw material, utilities, energy, information, whatever. It consumes resources, time, but it creates no value for the customer. In the ideal state, in the ideal condition, every ounce of energy, every minute of time, every dollar, every bit of inventory is used to create value for the customer. That would be the ideal condition of any business out there. We are just purely focused on creating value for the customer. Unfortunately, a lot of organizations and a lot of processes are designed to include a lot of waste, and they essentially require a lot of effort and resources, and they consume a lot of resources, but don't end up creating a lot of value for the customer. And that's this idea of waste, right? And so again, there is a misconception in lean that it's all about waste, and that's not true. We're trying to get to the ideal condition. We're trying to get to a state where everything we do as an organization provides value because we love the customer and we care about them and we want to provide value. And we do that by eliminating the waste that is consuming those resources. Now, when we talk about waste, there are 8 categories of waste, okay? And the acronym I love to use is downtime. If you're in manufacturing, we know that downtime is bad and so is waste, and it's defects, overproduction, waiting, non-utilized talent, transportation, inventory, motion, and extra processing. We are going to go through all 8 forms of these waste. But if you're sitting for the green belt exam or black belt exam or CQE exam and you get a question and you're trying to remember, what are the different forms of waste or whatever, remember the acronym downtime, as that is the 8 forms of waste. Okay, let's start with what I think is the easiest form of waste to understand: defects. Sometimes we produce items that don't meet the customer's needs. We call this a defect. We have invested our time to produce this item. We've invested our energy. We've invested our raw materials, and we've produced something that is unsellable. We cannot sell it. It goes in the trash. We scrap it. We rework it. We sort it. It is a defect. It doesn't meet the customer's needs. That is waste. We've wasted our time. Number 2 is overproduction. This is essentially a form of waste where we produce too much material before the customer requires it. Imagine for a second we're doing our monthly planning and we're feeling super optimistic, and someone says, "Hey, we're going to produce 100 bikes this month," right? We think we're going to sell 100 bikes. We're going to produce 100 bikes, and so we go out and we do that. We produce 100 bikes, and at the end of the month, the sales team reports back and they said, "Ooh, we only sold 80 bikes. We now have 20 bikes sitting around unsold." That's a problem because what we've done is we've actually created other forms of waste. We now have inventory sitting around, essentially tying up cash. Each one of these bikes represents cash in the form of the raw material we invested into it, into the labor we invested, and the energy that we invested into it. This is essentially a bunch of cash in inventory that we have created. And we've got all this extra inventory that we don't need, and we're having to move it around from one pallet location to the other, from one distribution center to the other, in hopes of selling it maybe a different region. And all of that excess transportation creates another form of waste. And so overprocessing is usually considered the largest form of waste, and it's when we produce too much material before the customer wants it. Again, in an ideal world, we would produce items at the pull of the customer. When they order it, we produce the amount that they want, we exchange our goods for their cash, and we've essentially provided value in the exact quantity that they want, and that's kind of the ideal state. The next form of waste is called waiting. This is any time any of your assets are forced to wait. Now, let's talk about common assets. Equipment, automation, robotics. If you have an assembly line and the goal for today is to produce 1,000 units, but you don't produce 1,000 units because the automation line is down or it's idle or it's waiting for information, for parts, for labor, whatever, if at any reason your assets are waiting and they're not producing value, you are wasting time. You're wasting that resource and you're not creating any value. The same thing is true for people. If people are sitting around waiting for documentation, information, whatever, if that asset, if people are forced to wait, maybe they're waiting for raw material, maybe they're waiting for tooling or for whatever. If people are forced to wait, that asset, that human capital is essentially being wasted because we are not providing value. We are essentially consuming resources without creating any value. Okay. The next is non-utilized talent. I am so incredibly passionate about this. This is the waste where people's talents, skills, knowledge, and information go underutilized. And the way I like to explain this is think about any organization on this planet. Amazon, Tesla, Costco, Apple, pick your favorite company, GE, I don't care what it is, NVIDIA, and think about all of the assets that those companies have. Building, equipment, inventory, cash, intellectual property, technology, whatever it is. I would argue that regardless of the company, every organization's largest asset is its people. It's the people who come in every day and make the business run, and they've got the knowledge and the skills and the talent to be successful. That is every organization's largest asset, period. And I love what John Maxwell said. He said the most effective way to grow an organization and provide value is to grow the people within it. Oftentimes, organizations waste their employees' talents and skills and knowledge by not training them, not teaching them, not giving them opportunities to grow and to add value. We waste that resource instead of taking advantage of, again, people's knowledge, skills, and talent. So that's a huge form of waste. The next one is transportation. A lot of businesses and organizations move products around unnecessarily. That's the definition. It's the unnecessary movement of products or materials. Now, let's be clear. When you're manufacturing an item, or let's say you're distributing an item, some amount of movement is required, right? It gets received from the supplier. It has to go into the warehouse. Then it has to come onto the production floor. But a lot of times organizations will move pallets around the warehouse and move items around the production floor or move items around the country unnecessarily, and all that's waste. The customer does not care that you had to move it from one pallet location to another or from one spot on the production floor to another. We are consuming resources without providing value to the customer. And so again, the whole purpose of today's lecture is to help you spot the waste around you. The next form of waste is inventory. And I want to be clear about this. Not all inventory is waste. Some amount of inventory is required to achieve smooth flow through your value stream. That is absolutely unequivocally true. Some amount of inventory is necessary. And let's say, for example, you've gone out and you've done the math and you go, okay, we need about 4 weeks of raw materials to have smooth production on the production floor over the course of a month. If we smooth out production, we need about 4 weeks of inventory. Anything above that, 5 weeks of inventory, 6 weeks of inventory, 10 weeks of inventory, all that excess material that's not needed to support production would be considered waste. That inventory is essentially cash that could be freed up and invested in other ways to, again, add value to the organization. So again, be cognizant of your inventory and how much inventory is required for smooth production flow. and look for excess material that is essentially not needed. In the second part of this video series, again, we're going to talk about measuring waste, and we're going to talk about eliminating waste. And so we'll come back to all these different forms of waste and talk about how do we measure excess inventory, how do we measure overproduction, how do we measure defects and things like that, and ultimately how do we eliminate them. The next form of waste is motion. Okay, this is the unnecessary movement of people. Again, think about your operation, think about your business processes. Sometimes we require that people get up and move around and go get a form and go get a tool and go move their material and go get a raw material and go finish the work order and do all these things. And sometimes when you watch somebody work, you'll recognize that they are unnecessarily moving around. Because what we want is when somebody's working, we want them to sit down and we want them to create that thing and assemble that item and add value to the product. And anytime that they're up moving around and out of their chair and going to get a tool and going to move material, they're not creating value. They're not doing something productive. And so again, sometimes we waste a lot of effort and energy and human capital with unnecessary movement of people throughout our production floor. The last one is called extra processing. This one is really tricky, and here's the definition. When you are putting in more time and effort into a process than what is needed, the classic example in lean is the number of coats of paint on a vehicle. So imagine we sit our customers down and we show them samples of, hey, here's what one coat of paint looks like, 2 coats of paint, 3 coats of paint, whatever. And they go, hey, what I find valuable, what I'm willing to pay for is about 2 coats of paint. Imagine for a second in that situation, you had been putting on 4 coats of paint or 5 coats of paint because you really wanted it to look nice. You are over processing or extra processing that item. You're doing extra things that the customer doesn't really care about. This happens all the time in manufacturing. The example in business processes is, let's say you've got a form and you fill it out and then you have to route that form for 8 different signatures. Maybe, just maybe, some of those 8 signatures aren't really required, and what we really need is 4 signatures instead of all 8. We are putting in more effort and time than is required, or that what the customer is willing to pay for. That is extra processing. Again, that's the 8 forms of waste: defects, overproduction, waiting, non-utilized talent, transportation, inventory, motion, and extra processing. And by the way, this video is just step 1. I want you to learn how to see the waste around you. Go down to your production floor, walk around, and look for all 8 forms of these wastes. I guarantee they're happening on your production floor. And your job as someone becoming a CQE, a green belt, or black belt is learning how to see the waste. In part 2 of the video, we're going to talk about how we measure waste and how we eliminate it. What are all those lean tools that we can use to eliminate waste and provide more value for our customers? If you love this video and you want to keep preparing for the CQE exam, I've got a wonderful free course. It's called the Top 10 Topics on the CQE Exam. Just go to cqeacademy.com/free course. You're going to get video lectures, practice exams, downloadable PDFs that you can bring into the exam with you. Also, head over to cqeacademy.com. I've got more practice exams, study guides, study plans, cheat sheets, a ton of free resources to help you prepare for the CQE exam. That is it for me. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you loved it. If you did, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.